I'm an addict named Pat. Thank you. I want to thank my for being. I want to thank you for inviting me. It's always a privilege to come back to my roots, and for me, what this is really about is having a second chance, because I really fucked up the first chance I got. I really destroyed and hurt a lot of people, and I disappointed a lot of people. I disappointed those that were close to me on a continuous basis. And I'm grateful a scandalous person like me got a place to come to get better. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself real quick. I got 30 minutes. I look like a Mexican and I'm not. I'm half black and half Chinese. A lot of my family's mixed up. I learned to be an introvert. I learned to be an introvert real early in life. Like most of my family is white and black, and they used to like make fun of me and call me a China Grow. You're half black and you're half Chinese and half Negro, so you're a China Grow. And when you're young, you take that shit to heart. It like sticks with you. I tell you, look, my legal name, if I got arrested, my first name is Patrice. I would have to tell my first name is Patrice. And I've always been ashamed of that name. I'm born and raised in Watts. I grew up on the corner of 111th and Mona, just right down the street from the projects. I used to have a corner house, and I used to watch them on that corner shooting dice and drinking wine all night long. And I remember being a little kid, like 9, 10, and go, I'll never be like that. And there was always a gunfight after the dice game. It's like, I'm never going to be like that. After the Watts riots hit, we moved to Chicago. And I was in a total culture shock. So we moved to a Puerto Rican neighborhood, and every night they played the congas, and they were listening to Celia Cruz, playing them cowbells. And it was so hot and humid, they would cut the fire hydrant up, and it would shoot water all night. People would come out with their soaps and take a bath outside, get high, smoke weed, and I go, man, this is the coolest shit. And I grew up in a household. Where my parents got involved in politics in the 60s and 70s. There was a lot of politics running around, the Black Panthers, the Brown Beret. There were a lot of different, and my parents were involved with that. Matter of fact, Pops was the chairman. And so everybody would come to our house at night. I mean, like 100 people, and they'd have meetings and parties and drink. Now I'm 8, 9 years old. I go over there, they leave a cup, I'll swipe it, right? Because I noticed one time I got sick and they gave me some brandy, and I fell asleep and I felt warm, and it's like, I'm gonna try some of that. And I liked it. And it started something out for me. Being an invert at a young age, I started hiding from who I really was. I kind of really related to Pelon. Anyway, I got in a bunch of trouble growing up. I started snorting cocaine when I was 15. Back then, they used to sell it in a little vial, little envelope, and it didn't cost $20. It cost $25 back then. Yep. And I remember I snorted that cocaine, and automatically I didn't feel like a black Chinaman. I felt like whatever neighborhood I was in, I felt smarter. I was always shy of girls. I wasn't like that alone. I was always scared of women. And when my name became Joe the Grind, it was like, Mia, come here. I got real brave on that shit. And I like that cocaine so much. I start stealing from people you shouldn't be stealing from. And rob some people that will fuck you up if you steal from them. And I had to leave my parents' house. So I came back to LA in 1980. I think I was 19 years old. And my head was like, man, I could go back to LA, man. I could go anywhere in LA, find me a palm tree. I could snort all the cocaine I want. I don't need nobody. And what I really felt like was they were the damn problem. I need to get away from them crazy people. They got too many people up in the house. Pops used to drink, and because he was a chairman, all the women used to like him. And my mother was there. And my mother never drank, and my mother would watch this stuff. And when the party was over, there was always a fight. I seen you looking at her, and like, it would always be a big argument. And usually we would have to, me and my mom would leave the house in the car, sleep in the car. And those were the things I didn't want anybody to know. I didn't want nobody to know my name was Patrice. It was like, that was the worst. When I grew up, Patrice Russia had just came out, man, singing them. And I was like, don't give me that name. And I think Johnny Cash came with a song called A Man Named Sue or something. It was like, and I could relate to that motherfucker. Yeah, I came out to LA and moved to Cudahy, real close to Bellon. He was over there in Southgate listening. And yeah, just when the crack epidemic started hitting. And I had a connection where I was getting this Buddha Thai weed from LA, and I was shipping it over to Chicago, and they were sending me back some cocaine. And I went to a friend of mine to sell him some cocaine. He says, no, you're wasting it like that. He rocked it up in front of me, and I was kind of hypnotized. I'd never seen it before. And he gave me a hit, and I got pissed off because I spent like $40. I go, I don't feel shit. And then I went back. That was the fucked up thing. I went back, and I fell in love. I fell in love. Started smoking that crack, and I remember the first time it hit me. I didn't have no more money, and I was like, man, I would have sex with a gorilla for another 20. I didn't tell nobody. But internally, spiritually, that's how I felt. That should have told me, don't ever smoke that shit again. But the feeling caught me. I started working in the Port of LA in 1981. It was a great job. You could work 1-2 days a week. They didn't mind. And I would usually go there to steal. In 1981, they didn't have all those damn fences over there and shit, and we were stealing everything that we could. We were like Goodfellas, ghetto style and shit. I would go to break, and I'd be in a ship full of aluminum. And when I got into the ship, there was like thousands of pieces of aluminum. I was like, I hit the jackpot. And I would put those in my work bag, and I go to my car and have about a 30-pound ingot of aluminum. And I would try to steal about 10 of them a day. So 100 pounds of aluminum get you a nice little chunk of change. And I started stealing down there. Anyway, fast forward, man, to the bottom, man. To the bottom with this dirty disease called addiction, right? I was getting high with a girl from Cudahy, and we had been getting high for a while. Like, I pimped her. She tried to pimp me a few times. Right? You're a crackhead. Somebody's selling something because we got to keep smoking, right? Like, if you're going to recover, you're going to have to lose the denial. You're going to have to get rid of that because that ain't going to work here. You're going to have to get honest here. Anyway, I had broke into a container at work, and they had like boxes of Timex watches. I must have stole 2,000 of them, and I sold them for $20 a piece. And I came over with a large chunk of money. I got my income tax. I always bought like a 16 8-ball, but this time I bought 4 ounces of cocaine, right? And I'm getting high with this girl that I tried to pimp. We've been robbed together. We robbed people together, been busted together. So anyway, we're getting loaded for 3 days. She's fixing it, and I'm smoking it. I go to the bathroom. I leave 1.5 ounces out. I go back. to the bathroom, come out in 5 fucking seconds, man. And she took off with the dope, right? And it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and Cudahy got these long ass blocks, right? I mean, they're like a mile. And I see her way down there, so I run after her and I drag her back. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. She's going, stop, help me, help me, help me. I ain't hearing none of that shit, right? I want that last ounce because I'm broke as fuck, right? And I get her in the house, and about 2 minutes later, the cops knock on the door and they go, you in there by yourself? And I go, yeah, I open the door. I'm in there by myself. And the girl goes, help me, help me, help me. So I get arrested for kidnapping. I pulled her blouse to look for it, and rape, and attempted murder because there was a knife on the kitchen table. And I don't know if you understand divine intervention, because if those cops wouldn't have came, I weighed 100 pounds, she weighed 70 pounds, just to give you a picture of what this thing called addiction had done to me. And I'm afraid if the cops wouldn't have came, I don't know what I would have done to her. You know, when they say we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I don't know about you motherfuckers, man, but my ass was insane. Insane. So they put me in Southgate, that little Southgate jail. They hold me for 72 hours. DA walks in and goes, good news and bad news. Homegirl ain't pressing charges. Bad news is we picking it up. Your punk ass gonna do 30 years. I was like, what the fuck? By this time, my parents were in Chicago. I had stopped talking to my parents because every time I would call them, I would say, send me 100, I'm broke. They're about to beat me up. I owe some people some money, send me 100. And they got tired of me asking them for me. So we had to quit talking to my parents for about 6 years. So I'm in this Southgate, I'm catching a train. I'm catching a train to the CDC. I'm in CDC. They go, all right, Perry, roll it up. We're sending you to a penitentiary. I'm ready to get chained up. And they call my name and go, hey, get Perry out of that line. So I go on the line. He says, a lawyer wants to see you. I said, a lawyer? I ain't never had a lawyer before. And so the lawyer said, hey, your mom put up her house to bail you out. And I remember right before I got bailed out, I was looking in the bathroom, and it wasn't a glass, it was an aluminum, stainless steel mirror. And I was looking, and my lips were all burnt up, my fingers were burnt up. And I was thinking to myself, man, I cannot do 30 years, man. Fucking God help me. And as soon as I caught that chain, a lawyer showed up, and the lawyer says, hey, look, we could beat this. What happened? And I told him, he says, we could beat this, but you got to get clean. I go, how do you get clean? He goes, I got you. So I'm registered longshoreman 1980. This was 1986. I'm a registered longshoreman. The only thing I got is this fucking insurance. So they send me up to San Pedro Palencia Hospital, and I go up there, and there's a dude named Fred Brown. He's a night watchman. And every time I'm up at night, I'm tripping. I can't go to sleep. I'm always going in the freezer to eat. I weigh 100 pounds, right? I'm starving, right? I'm eating. I'm like, I like this place. I'm eating, right? And he tries to 12-step me. He goes, hey, look, your detox is only 30 days. After 30 days, come on to my recovery house. I'm starting a recovery house. And I'm real grateful that this tradition has lasted almost 40 years now. Is it over 40 years? I came here in 1986, so what's that, like 37 years ago? I came here 37 years ago, and I didn't know what to expect. I ain't never seen a clean addict in my life. And I met Fred, and Fred goes, hey, I'm gonna go to court with you when you go. Just stay clean. So I got involved with NA. So I go to court, and they go, okay, we're gonna, it took like a year to get it down. So I stayed clean for a year. Start going to meetings, getting involved. I'm the GSR. I'm the alternate treasurer of the area. I got like $4,000. They trust me with like 4 or 5 grand. And my life started changing. And about a year and a half, we go to the final trial, and Fred stands up. And my home group guys came from my home group NA meeting. They showed up, and I ended up beating that case. It was proven that she had called her on the landlines. You could track whoever called you. And she had called her mother 5 times that night. She had called her brother a couple of times. It was obvious that we'd been arrested together, even done court cases together. And my lawyer goes to the girl, why don't you tell the truth? It was you burned him for some drugs, and he got mad and he wanted it back. She said, yes. And the DA got smashed. And so a year and a half goes by, and my parents live in Chicago. I go to Chicago to go see my parents every Christmas. And you know what's fucked up about this disease is there's no cure for it, right? This is one day at a time. That's the longest time that any person gets, is one day. So I thought I had enough clean time to hang around with people that were drinking. And I ended up drinking with them fools with 18 months clean, right? And so I come back, and I didn't want to tell anybody, right? Because Fred Brown had went to court with me. My whole home group, sponsor, grand sponsor, everybody showed up to court, and I went and got drunk. Hanging around with some old friends. I thought that clean time was enough insurance to hang around with people that I used to fuck around with. And today I know I can't even do that with decades clean. I can't hang around with people smoking crack and drinking, and I can't hang out with them, not for very long. So anyway, I come back to the fellowship, and I stand up as a newcomer, and some welcome me, and some were pissed off at me. They were like, hey, asshole, we don't fucking do that here. We don't use no matter what. And that was a rough treatment that I got. And I started staying clean, man. And I got involved. You know what's funny is they gave me 5-year probation to Fred Brown's, right? So I'm in Fred Brown's forever, man. I think I got most of you guys whooped, man. Well, I lived there, man. And what was cool was there was a set of about 12 of us that all stood there for 3 to 5 years. And I think there's about 7 of us that are clean, with over 30 years clean. You know, sometimes I think I'm running shit in my clean time, right? I'm making $200,000 a year. Sometimes I'm making 3, huh? Sometimes my ego gets real big and I think I'm doing something around here, right? So 15 years clean, I got the baddest girl in San Pedro with the biggest booty. I got the baddest girl with the prettiest face and the longest hair. And she could dance too, and everybody looking, I'd be like, man, quit looking, man, quit looking. Quit looking. 15 years clean, so I go home and make amends to my mother. Finally, I took a total picture. I go, you know, Mom, my mom, when I was using, she used to tie her purse around her neck. She knew if she set it down for 2 minutes, that my monkey ass would be in it. And the shame, I'm talking about the shame of a mother's eyes looking at a pitiful ass son. You know, and I made amends to her. I go, Mom, it was a dope that the crack, it just makes me want to, there's no boundaries when I'm using. She goes, you know, you never met your grandfather, but your grandfather came from China, and he was a opium addict from Harlem in New York, and he never stopped using, and he died before you were born. So when you started using, I thought I was going to lose you too. And I had been going to conventions in Chicago every Christmas to see my mother. They have a convention there, NA convention, and she would go to the Alumni meetings, and I would go to NA meetings, and sometimes we go together. And we started this beautiful relationship, right? So at 15 years clean, my mother died. My wife, no, it wasn't my wife. We were together about 3 years. She had a tubular pregnancy. The baby died. My sponsor died. Freddie Keno died. And a bunch of friends started dying because when I got clean, I was 26. And a lot of the members were already 40 and 50. Patrick remembers them. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart. And I started feeling lonely and I started cheating on her, right? And I was like messing around with all the newcomers. I know I'm the only guy who ever did that. And it became an addiction. I could stop. She left me. She left me, and I felt like a fucking chump, right? Because I had messed everything up. I didn't have a mother. I didn't have some good friends, and I didn't have a sponsor. So I got another sponsor, and I started working the steps. And when I got to this step, the second step came to believe, and I started looking for tangible evidence. And I started looking back because I never believed in God, man. When I was here, I was just seeing what you guys were saying at the end of the meeting. God grant me this serenity. I never had a personal relationship. And at 15 years, I started looking at the tangible evidence. And tangible evidence is something you can't really touch, but you can see, right? And I started seeing it, and it was like God started talking to me and says, "Hey, punk, I didn't get you clean to start cheating on all these women. I didn't get you clean for that. I told your mother, you didn't talk to your mother for 6 years, that your ass was in the penitentiary ready to catch a chain for 30 years. God started talking to me and was like, I'm the one that made it possible for you not to have a pit stop between being released from jail. You met a lawyer, you went to a detox. I introduced you to Fred Brown. Fred Brown introduced you to Narcotics Anonymous. I'm in charge, Pat Perry. You ain't running shit." And that was profound. They said that this is a program of spiritual awakenings. And that was an awakening. That was an awakening that I just can't do what I think. The disease lies in my head. The disease, I want to fill that emptiness with something outside so I don't have to feel. That's what the disease of addiction means to me today. So I got out of relationships. I got a sponsor, started working all 12 steps. And I started dating. I started thinking about dating this one girl, had about a year away from women. And when I met her, she was in a recovery house that I was a secretary in a meeting. And then she moved like around the block from me. And then she was going to my corner store. And I was like, "What are you doing in my store?" And she goes, "This is my store." I was like, maybe God put this one in front of me. It's sort of like, right? I ain't seeking it. And she was dating a friend of mine who was my age, had a bunch of clean time. And so what I did, I started doing something different. She didn't have a car. She had a job. I started taking her job. And then she had a little son. And I took her to her dad's house in Long Beach. And I took her there 3 times. The third time I went there, he asked me, "Are you guys involved?" First, I go, no, we're just friends. And then the third time I told him, "Hey, would you mind if I date your daughter?" He goes, "Well, as long as you don't hurt the little boy, it's okay with me." I have never in my entire life met her parents before getting some. Right? So we had dated 9 months and I didn't even hit, not once. We didn't even touch hands for 9 months. I gotta have the record of Narcotics Anonymous because we don't do that, right? My pattern was, if I'm buying you dinner, you're the dessert. If you go to have coffee, that's the start of an engagement, right? You wanna go to coffee? Oh, y'all don't know about that? Y'all know about that pickup line, right? Let's go have coffee. I've been with that girl for 17 years, man. We got married. It's been 8 years. I have never cheated on her in 17 years, man. I'm a cheap fucker, man. I'm the most. I never had fidelity before, man. Fidelity is a beautiful thing, man. Being loyal is a beautiful thing. These are things I never knew nothing about. All my girlfriends before NA looked like buckwheat. Little rascals. We were all tore up. And I treated the girls like if they didn't do what I say, it was like, and I learned something that I'm self-centered. I'm self-centered in that first step. I learned something about unconditional love, that if I'm not gonna get in a relationship and have unconditional love, I don't have no business getting in it. Unconditional love is where you don't put any conditions on anything. We have a 13-year-old son together, and I love him unconditionally. Every day he pees on the floor, and I want to complain, but gratefully in my heart, I clean it up because I'm the dad. I love him unconditionally. I wouldn't change a fucking thing about him. He's gonna learn when he learns. I don't have to yell at him or hit him or none of that, and just, hey son, aim at the toilet. Aim at the toilet. I've learned how to have human relations by having a sponsor. My sponsor don't yell at me. You stupid ass, you didn't do the 5th step right. Who's gonna want to work the 5th step if you're yelling at them like that? It's like, hey, you missed a few things right here. Pay attention to this. Backing up some, matter of fact, the first intimate relationship I ever had was with another man, a sponsor. When I read that 5th step, I didn't want to, there's a lot of stuff that I did that I didn't tell you about, but like my sexuality was in jeopardy when I got here. It's like, I'm a crackhead, I'm selling everything. Everything's for sale. It's gotta happen, right? So when I got clean, I thought it was cool. Because I was a pitcher. I wasn't a catcher. I thought it was cool. Then I went to a convention and this guy was speaking. He says, it don't matter if you're pitching or catching, it's still baseball. Hell no. And so I got a sponsor and I started telling the real me. I go, well, I did this when I was using. He says, I did that too. And I was like, damn. And it started some trust with another human being. And I don't know, I think Narcotics Anonymous is the bomb. I'm 61 years old. I got clean when I was 26, man. I've been all over the world chasing Narcotics Anonymous. I've been in Hawaii under 12 coconut trees where they have a coconut meeting, and I counted them too. And there was 12 coconuts. I was like, there's 12 steps on the beach of Hawaii doing 12-step recovery. I've been to Rome. I've been to Italy. I've been to the Coliseum, not the one that's downtown LA, but the motherfucker that's in Europe where Bruce Lee fought. I've been to Canada. I've been to Thailand. I've been all over the world, man, with this second chance, right? I've raised a family for 17 years, man. I didn't imagine any of this shit was possible. I thought I had I remember when I got here, I didn't want to tell any of you people any of this stuff. But I know to stay here, I have to talk about me. I have to start healing from within 5 minutes. I'm gonna tell a story, and my grand sponsor tells this story, but I love this story. I was watching the Wizard of Oz, right? And this girl named Dorothy, she's trying to find her way home, right? She got picked up by this fucking tornado and flew somewhere, right? So Dorothy goes down this brick road, right? Trying to find this wizard, right? So she bumps into a fucking lion, right? This lion ain't got no fucking courage, right? The lion's like, I'm scared of the wizard. Where are we gonna find him? She says, don't worry, just come with me. Okay, Dorothy, but protect me. So they roll up and they bump into the Tin Man. Tin Man, no heart, yeah. And just they said, come join us. We're gonna go to see the wizard. And the Tin Man goes, but I don't have a heart. He says, that's all right, come with us. And bump into what was it? The Scarecrow. He's got no courage, right? He's scared. No brain. I ain't got no brain either. This is my sponsor story, but I love this story. But I started identifying with each character because the disease of addiction took my heart, took my courage, and took my motherfucking mind, right? But the one I identified with the most was that stupid little girl named Dorothy. All she wanted to do was go home, right? That's how I identified my recovery, man. I just want to go home. And to me, this is home. 12-step recovery. My roots are here with Fred Brown. You know, I never forget what they did for me, you know? They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. And it helped me and it saved my life. It changed my life's course. Because I was going down for a long time. I don't know, I'm living the dream, man. I'm free. Cocaine ain't in charge of me. I learned if I leave it alone, it'll leave me alone. Hey, I can't even go to this fucking Skid Row because they smoking all the time. That shit look good. Hey, homeboy, you ain't burning the grill all night. Disease ain't never gonna go nowhere. This has been a hell of a fucking road for a loser like me to learn how to win. I got a bank account with over 6 digits in it. Fuck, I'm getting ready to retire. I put 38 years down on the waterfront. And they used to call me Prince on the waterfront because I look like that motherfucker, not because I'm royalty. Like, long hair, 100 pounds, quit stealing shit and come to work. And I go to a union meeting and a bunch of guys drinking, they go, you know what? You know what we like about you, Pat? Is that you went to recovery and you never came back to us. And it's like, wow, what an honor, man. I'm honored and honored and honored. And all I have to do is look. Anyway, so if you're new here, come with us and down the Yellow Brick Road. We're all off to see the fucking wizard. Thank you for letting me share.